Here we go. Thank you, Susie, for that very kind introduction and your terrific work chairing this annual meeting. For those of you that don't know Susie, maybe there's 2 or 3 people in this room. She brings such an incredible style and passion to everything she does, and this annual meeting is no exception. Thank you to our Shofar Award winner, Wendy Berger, who is leading the 2019 JUF annual campaign with such purpose and strength. It is a real treat to be able to sit down with Wendy, as she is so excited to sit down with any donor of any size. Her energy is infectious, and she is really able to effectively articulate what we do, how we do it, and why the support is so essential. Thank you, Wendy. A huge, huge thank you to the man on my left, Chairman of our board, Andy Hochberg. The foundation of this federation's success can be found in the unique partnership between staff and volunteer leadership. And what a tremendous partner I have in Andy. Andy is there for me 24 hours a day, and I mean that literally. He is always able to forego other things on his mind and in his world to make sure that Federation is number one. He has been a guiding light for me as I've started. He is there with his experience, his passion, and ultimately his heart. He is a gift to our community, and Andy, thank you so much for all you do for us. And finally, a Yasher Koach to Bill Silverstein, our Rosenwald awardee. What an example Billy sets for the next generation. We are humbled by your passion and your generosity. In fact, I have an exciting announcement demonstrating the kind of leader Billy is. To honor this community, and I mean Big C community, the Silverstein family has made a special $100,000 gift today. And its recipients, and its recipients are all the organizations that are represented here today. That's right. Each nonprofit with a professional in attendance will share equally in this gift. From the United Way to the Urban League to Mount Sinai Hospital to Erie Crown Hebrew Day School, they will benefit from this gift, which embodies devotion to community and further strengthens it. On behalf of all the charities that will benefit from this wonderful gift, a heartfelt thank you to the Silverstein family. Although I assumed the presidency on July 1st, I actually started at JUF on April 1st. I spent those 3 months expanding my organizational knowledge while meeting with as many people as possible, and I really mean that. Now, after 5 months, I have met with over 400 staff, board members, donors, rabbis, faith leaders, and agency executives across our community. I gotta say, it has been the most exciting 5 months of my life. Every morning, I can't wait to get up and get to work, and it's because of these people, many of whom are in this room today. The reality is that nothing can really prepare you for this job, not because it's so overwhelmingly complex and challenging, but because it's so overwhelmingly inspiring. I am keenly aware that I stand on the shoulders of giants, starting with the 4 Federation presidents who preceded me. I have the privilege of a unique vantage point on Jewish Chicago and our great civic community. And I must tell you, the people in this community and Federation really take my breath away. I expected great things from our lay leaders, whose commitment, vision, and generosity are legendary. They are the reason Chicago's JUF is the envy of the entire Federation world. But nothing could prepare me for seeing these extraordinary people in action. They personify the power and goodness of Jewish peoplehood. We must never take them for granted. And I've just been blown away by my JUF colleagues. I am so impressed by their talent and skill, and how they devote such intense energy, emotion, and intellect to improving the lives of others. One question I asked in all of my one-on-one meetings, and my colleagues will go back and say, he really did ask that question, was, what keeps you up at night? I got the most insightful array of answers from this amazing staff, and it has greatly helped me navigate some of the tougher issues we are facing and will face in the future. They bring purpose and passion to our work every day, and so many nights. There's the pictures. If you ask them, they will say they're grateful for their work that leads meaning to their lives. but I say it's our community that should be grateful for these very, very special people. So I'd like to take a moment and ask all the JUF Federation staff to stand and accept our community's thanks. We are truly grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you also to the dedicated staff of our partner agencies and schools who provide state-of-the-art services to people across our community, bringing hope and help to over 500,000 people of all faiths and all walks of life in Chicago. As detailed in the annual report, a synopsis of which is in your programs, in 2019, Federation allocated $249 million from multiple revenue streams to fund these agency services for people in need at every stage of life. The funds come from bequests, donor-advised distributions, government, foundation, and United Way grants, corporate partners, and of course, the JUF annual campaign. Take a look at the full report at juf.org and you'll get a closer snapshot of that remarkable work, which has been made possible by this community's generosity. And I think you'll be as inspired as I am. That's what energizes me when I get up every day. Now, here's what keeps me up at night. The senseless murders of 12 Jews at prayer in Pittsburgh and Poway were the darkest hours of a year in which appalling acts of anti-Semitism and hate afflicted our community. The threat of violence against Jews in today's world is alarming. Once again, anti-Semitism is the canary in the mine of human decency. A recent survey showed that nearly half of Jewish Europeans ages 16 to 34, half, have been the victim of at least one anti-Semitic incident in the past year. And 45% of young European Jews say they won't wear or carry Jewish items in public, fearing for their safety. We're seeing instances of horrific propaganda that harken back hundreds of years. A carnival float in Belgium featured caricatures of Orthodox Jews shown with money and rats. Residents of a small town in Poland celebrated Easter by beating and burning an effigy of a Jew. And the New York Times ran an editorial cartoon depicting the US president as a blind man wearing a kippah being led by Israel's prime minister, complete with a Jewish star on his collar. In the US, anti-Semitic incidents in 2018 remained near historic levels after surging in 2017, and the number of assaults doubled. And just this past month, we have seen a precipitous increase in vicious hate crimes against Jews in New York. In fact, over 50% of all hate crimes in New York City have been against Jews. Truly, truly frightening. We live in a time where latent hatred of the other has been mobilized and weaponized by politicians on both sides of the aisle. Our great nation has been cleaved into two, divided into us and them. Instead of embracing their common humanity, those in the far right and the far left find their common ground in targeting Jews and other marginalized groups. We must refuse to accept a reality where Jews, Muslims, and African Americans are murdered in their houses of worship. We must refuse to accept a reality in which members of the LGBTQ community are gunned down in nightclubs and members of the Latinx community are massacred in big box stores. And we must refuse to accept a reality in which hate is the new normal. Now, we must fight for the society we want. We must be unceasing in our vigilance. This is an important role for an experienced and powerful, nonpartisan institution. We must be ready to identify hate and speak out against it whenever and wherever it occurs, and no matter who is the source. Too many public figures call out hate when it's espoused by their political rivals while turning a blind eye to hate festering in their own ranks. The darkest chapters in Jewish history, my friends, have shown that hateful words lead to hateful deeds. and 2019 horribly proved that point. We cannot be silent, and we won't be silent. The Pittsburgh and Poway shootings did not happen in a vacuum. They emerged from a slow and sickening appeasement of anti-Semitism in today's society. It is incumbent upon us to stand up, step up, and defend the Jewish people, and your federation is doing just that. We have started by growing JUF's multifaceted security assistance program. JUF has long provided local Jewish institutions with expert security assessments and consultations, hosted security conferences, and worked seamlessly with law enforcement at every level of government. We have helped Chicago area Jewish institutions successfully apply for hundreds of Homeland Security grants totaling tens of millions of dollars. And in the last 2 years, we have upped the ante, leveraging nearly $4 million in matching grants provided to 88 local sites serving 37,000 people. This has yielded new, improved security for JCCs, schools, agencies, camps, plus every local synagogue that applied. We at Federation will also be increasing our own internal security team this year so we can better meet the security needs of our institutions here in Chicago. Jewish Chicago will never be frightened away from participating in Jewish life and community, nor will we hesitate to fight hate and speak truth to power. In May, our JUF Federation Board passed a statement of principles concerning the fight against anti-Semitism and other forms of bigotry. This consensus document enumerates the ways in which your federation is prepared to call out, condemn, and fight anti-Semitism, bigotry in all their forms. The events of the past year have broken our hearts, but strengthened our resolve. Today, we mobilize to fight not just hatred, but the normalization of hatred. But we can't do it alone. And that is why my heart soars when I look around at the people gathered in this room today. In the battle against bigotry, to have allies, one must be an ally. We must come together as faith communities to fight anti-Semitism, xenophobia, and all forms of racism. We need to respond as one, fight as one, stand up to hate as one, by building partnerships with other people and communities of goodwill. I'd like to talk about one of these extraordinary partnerships which exemplifies the kind of bridges we strive to build across communities. In the spring, Facebook banned right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones and Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan from its platforms for violations of its policies prohibiting hate speech. Farrakhan, as we know, often takes aim at the LGBT community and routinely delivers hateful vitriol about Jews. He calls the Jewish people satanic and accused Jews of plotting the attacks of 9/11, exploiting African Americans, and controlling the economy, government, and media. So imagine our shock and deep sadness when Father Michael Flager, pastor of St. Sabina, denounced Facebook's move and invited Farrakhan to speak at his church just a few weeks after Farrakhan referred to the Jewish people as termites and claimed that the Talmud promotes pedophilia and sex trafficking. When I told my girls that I had been chosen for this position, my younger daughter Alexa, who I'm embarrassing right now, asked me 2 questions. First, she said, "Am I still going to be present in my daily life? Are you going to be there for me, Daddy?" And after I got teary-eyed, I said, "Of course, you're my number one priority, you and your sister. I will, of course, be there." And the second question she asked me was, "So what are you most excited about in terms of the impact you can make in our community?" Reese and I looked at each other, a tad blown away, but what an amazing question. There's a lot of insight, thoughtfulness, and wisdom in the next generations, and we must never ignore what's on the minds of young people. Speaking of which, can we have another round of applause for the amazing young people here today, over 200 students from 6 different day schools. This federation is proud to support day schools across the denominations, proud of their vibrancy, and especially proud of the students who attend them. So today, let's make a vow to listen to young people, always with an open mind and an open heart. With their global mindedness, generosity of spirit, creativity, and passion, I believe the millennials and Gen Z can take our community to new heights. They've already started. Jewish life today is dynamic and exciting and looks different today than it did 1,000, 100, or even 10 years ago. As we pass down our tradition and heritages, lador vador, from generation to generation, our traditions are reclaimed and reimagined. A new spirit of community is emerging in these next generations, and I am so proud to partner with exciting new programs that are both a part of that new spirit and helping to fuel it. From One Table and Moishe House to tribal gatherings and Sketchpad, from YLD Pride and Upstart Chicago to Honeymoon Israel and Base Hillel, young people are embracing the joy in Judaism. They are building community, one Shabbat dinner, one Israel trip, one study group, one workshop, one minyan at a time. We are at the dawn of a renaissance in Jewish life in this community, and it's a wonderful thing. It may be different, but we can't be afraid of difference. We at Federation need to be nimble, relevant, and accommodating to new ideas and ways to express our Jewishness and neshamas. Our newly launched Fund for the Future, which has now raised over $50 million, is poised to provide the appropriate resources necessary to meet the growing and potentially changing needs of our community. What will it look like to be Jewish and act out Jewishly in the next 5 or 10 years? I'm not so sure. There may be as many answers as there are Jews, and that's not a bad thing. Actually, it's a wonderful thing. The success of Silverstein Base Hillel is one exciting example, and you will hear more about this from Andy in his remarks. But each Base Hillel has quickly emerged as a welcoming, pluralistic hub of Jewish life for young adults, both in college and after they graduate. With hundreds and hundreds of participants streaming through their doors, the Base Hillels in Lincoln Park and in the South Loop are operating at capacity and serving as models for other cities nationwide. Plans are underway to open a third base location in 2020, with the goal of 5 Base Hillels across Chicagoland, engaging 4,000 young adults by 2024. Let's stop and think about that. 4,000 young Chicagoans enthusiastically connecting to Jewish life, Jewish community, Jewish tradition, and one another. Base Hillel is a wonderful reminder. Let's not be afraid to talk about the joy as well as the oi. The joy goes beyond our community's accomplishments and extends to embracing life in all its wonder and beauty. Now it's for my other daughter, Rachel, to be embarrassed. My older daughter, Rachel, went to Jewish day school. Give it up to BZ back there. And now is a junior at Jones College Prep, just a few blocks to the south. Rachel is a person who is a high-energy young woman who has a real zest for life. Recently, she and her friends were deciding where to go to lunch, and amid the usual ping-pongs of, I don't care, where do you want to go? I don't care, where do you want to go? Rachel spoke up. She really wanted to try a new place, and her enthusiasm cracked up her friends. Afterwards, she regaled this story to me, and she said, Dad, I was a little embarrassed, and the thing is, but I care. I care where I go to lunch. I want to try something new. I want to see the new Lion King when it comes out. I want to travel to new places in different parts of the world. Is that weird? Another one of those, as a parent, you sit back and you got to have time to contemplate. And I said, no, it's not weird at all, sweetie. For starters, she's the product of her parents. Risa and I want to experience everything for our kids, and to experience everything, you try to get the juice and everything bit you can out of life. I then explained that living in the moment is a very Jewish thing. There is a reason the mitzvot, the commandments of the Torah, have nothing to do with heaven and everything to do with the conduct of daily life and human relations. That's where we find meaning. The Talmud says, better just 1 hour of good deeds in this world than life eternal in the world to come. This is what the Jewish people are always seeking. Just 1 hour of good deeds. Just 1 hour that builds to just one more hour, hour upon hour for a lifetime. It's the Jewish passion for that next hour of good deeds that stirs the Jewish embrace of life and living it to the fullest. Jews are commanded to look for what we can do to perform acts of kindness now, to embrace justice now, and to do good now. And your federation brings our community together for that purpose, to improve the world now. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart for participating in this sacred work. We are truly together for good. Shana Tova.